I have never been more blown away by the actions of a manager at a restaurant in my entire life. It was St. Patty's Day. We specifically went to a Mexican restaurant because we didn't want to get into any kinds of crowds or waits or anything. We're staying away from all Irish bars. So we had been shopping all day at a flea market. So we were excited for some food because we were hungry. We're like, oh, we should go to that Mexican restaurant in downtown Anaheim that's new. It's called In Familia. And so we were like, yeah, let's go. So we were greeted by the hostess, and who I came to find out was the manager. And he's the one who sat us. And the first place he sat us was inside, which is fine, but they had a really cool patio and it was really nice outside. But he stuck us like in a corner, like double window area, and it was kind of hot outside, and it felt like a sauna. Like I felt like I was in a greenhouse, and we didn't even have a server come over to us before. I'm like, guys, are you getting hot? 'Cause I'm getting hot. Like, let's go outside. So they let us move outside, which was so much nicer, and it was super cute. And everything about the restaurant, the ambiance, the decor, like everything they've chosen is super cute and super nice. And like we were impressed by it. And our server came over and she was super sweet, got our drink orders. We put in an appetizer. We got their queso that had like chorizo in it, and it was really good. And then it came time to order our entrees. And then we all order no problem, but they get to our friend and she's like, oh, I would love and I can't remember what they were called now. Oh, tacos. She wanted these like barbacoa tacos. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't do those anymore, but they're on the menu. We're changing them to taquitos. And so she's like, oh, okay. And like, it wasn't clear yet, like, did they have the taquitos or not? So she's like, is there something you'd like just in case we don't have them, but I will check with the kitchen. So my friend's like, sure, if they don't have those, then I want the empanadas. Sure enough, server never comes back to tell her like which order she's getting. So we kind of played a game of like, what do you think you're going to get? And keep in mind during this time, they are absolutely not busy. There's like two other tables. And that's a time when the kitchens and restaurants can get in trouble because you're so like not on top of it. So our food starts coming out, not in any kind of order whatsoever and not in any efficiency whatsoever. Like one item came out and then another two items came out, and like we were all just getting our food at different times, and none of us are going to eat without the other person having their food. So we're sitting there, things are getting cold, and our friend doesn't have her food. And so we keep on saying like, hey, is she going to get her empanadas? They're like, oh yeah, almost done. And you can see them coming out to check on us and be like, oh, she doesn't have them yet. And they go back to the kitchen or do whatever. She also ordered a side of chimichurri rice, and she got the chimichurri rice. So she's like, you guys eat. I'm just going to eat the rice and then I'll eat the empanadas when they come out. We are like almost done with our food. Our friend eats all of her rice and still no empanadas. The manager comes over. You gotta die. You're gonna die when you hear this, okay? The manager comes over and is like, I have good news for me and I have good news for you. What do you want to hear first? And we're all just kind of like, what is happening? So I go, I don't know, good news for you. He's like, well, good news for me. I had a great lunch of empanadas. And we're all kind of just like too stunned to speak. And then he goes, and good news for you, they're making you some more. And then walks away. Are you kidding me? We're like, is he serious right now? I was like, did he really just eat her empanadas? So we're still just sitting there. He comes back over and around and notices like the person who's missing their food, her water's empty. Granted, my other friend's water was empty too, but do you think he'd notice? No. So he's like, let me get you new water. Instead of bringing the carafe over, he picks up her glass, takes it into the bar area, and I watch him refill it from there, put it on a tray, and then bring it back. It was the most inefficient way to fill someone's water I've ever seen. I digress. He then finally, I can't remember who brought out the empanadas finally, but as they were out, our server came over and was like, I'm sorry about that, guys. And we're like, hey, did he really eat our empanadas? And she goes, you guys, I have no idea what was going on. Like, I have no idea why that happened. Like, he just got confused. He thought they came out already. He saw them sitting there, so he thought they were an accident, telling us the whole spiel. And I'm like, oh my God, he actually ate them. So the empanadas were great. My friend loved them. Would we love to eat all at the same time? I kind of think so. But my problem is that when the manager came over to tell us like what was happening with the empanadas, like he was actually honest about it, which is really weird. He should have made something up. But he also didn't say like, hey, and don't worry, we're going to take care of that for you. It will be off the bill. Like he said nothing like that. So it was like, so now we, gave you a lunch. The whole thing was just so weird. He never ever said or implied that it would be taken care of. So when our server came again to take our plates away, my friend kind of made a joke like, well, I hope this is on him, right? And so she's like, oh, yeah, we'll take it off. So they did end up taking it off the bill. However, The manager brought over the bill, I believe. Somehow he was back at the table. We joked again about like, so glad you had a good lunch. And he's like, oh yeah, I would never actually do that. He tried to take it back. Like he tried to say that he was joking. And we're like, oh my gosh, we talked to the server who like clarified that you actually did eat the empanadas. Isn't that the most insane thing you've ever heard? I was floored. It just kept on getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And he should have just like not tried to say he didn't, because now you're lying. Like now I know you're lying. I would have never in a million years thought you ate the empanadas. I would have believed that they fell on the floor when you were trying to bring them out. I would have believed that they forgot to fire them. That's why they were delayed. Like him eating them was not on the top of my list of the possibilities of the empanadas. And part of me is very sad because the food was really good. Was it a little pricey? Yes. But did they upscale Mexican? Yes. And they did a lot of fun things with their menu and everything was very tasty. So I'm sad because I don't know. Like, do I go back? Do I not go back? Do I give them another chance? Because the experience was just so weird. Like, has anything like this ever happened to you? Do you go off the experience or do you go off the food? Part of me is like, sometimes the food is worth it. It's just weird. So yeah, I don't know if I'll go back, but we came home from the restaurant back to my house. All the girls met at my house. We could go in one car to the flea market. We told the story to my husband, like we retold the story, and we didn't think it was as bad as it was until we were back home retelling the story to my husband. He's like, oh my God, that sounds terrible. And we're like, you know what? It kind of was. It was so many little things that just like added up to make a weird experience. That's my story.